On that note, I want to hand over to our next speaker, who is Jaiden Hall. She's a 16-year-old proud Wiradjuri trans girl and activist.
Every day, I feel the looming threat of anti-trans laws that could take away my right to gender-affirming care that for many of us are life-saving. All over the world, governments backed by millionaires have enacted anti-trans laws under the guise of protecting minors. However, these laws have led to a significant increase in suicide attempts among transgender and non-binary youth. In the US, a study by the Trevor Project found that in states with such legislation, suicide attempts among transgender and non-binary individuals, aged 13 to 17, rose up to 72% in the second year of law's enactment. These life-threatening trans laws, anti-trans laws, aren't just happening in the US, but they're happening right here at home. In January, the Queensland government banned new prescriptions of puberty blockers and HRT for minors, leaving countless trans youth without access to vital care, all while the Royal Australian College of General Practitioners reports that over 73% of transgender individuals have experienced depression. They emphasise that timely access to hormone therapies lead to a significantly reduced risk of poor mental health in transgender adults. Policies like this don't protect anyone. They put trans youth at greater risk of suicide and mental health struggles. And it's not just Queensland. Fuck off. And it's not just Queensland. Across Australia, both major parties have played a role in undermining trans rights. The Liberals use trans issues as political distraction, while Labor has supported legislation that protects anti-LGBTQ discrimination under the guise of religious freedom. These attacks on transgender lives are happening right now, and we cannot afford to ignore them. And as if to laugh in our faces, we have examples of how these contradictions play out in real life. As many of you are aware, the Prime Minister of Australia, Albo, marched in this year's Sydney Mardi Gras. Yet, let's not forget that just last year, Albo congratulated the openly transphobic, homophobic and racist Donald Trump after he won the US general election. This shows how his words and actions don't align, and frankly, he's a piece of shit, and he is full of shit. And this is a prime example of political hypocrisy. In a similar vein, recently in my hometown of Newcastle, the Newcastle Herald published an ad from the Trumpets of Patriots Party. In bold, large letters, it read, "There are only two genders, male and female." Below that, the ad claimed, "We must stop confusing our children in schools, give them a normal and safe environment to develop in." But here's the real kicker. Let them decide who they are when they become adults. The ad is harmful, sure, but I couldn't help but laugh at the sheer stupidity of that final line. They want to deny kids freedom to explore who they are, but then they say they'll let them decide later. To the Newcastle Herald, may I just add, your apology was also full of shit. You know exactly what you were doing. Far-right conservatives have always targeted most vulnerable groups because they're the easiest to oppress without resistance. Right now in the US, we're watching this unfold in real time with Donald Trump and the rest of his clown car attacking trans people and immigrant communities. Donald Trump, but history tells us one thing. It never stops there. When the bigoted gain ground, they don't stop at the most vulnerable. They keep pushing until no one is safe. That's why it's crucial that we don't just stand up for ourselves, but all oppressed people before it's too late. In the words of Martin Niemöller, first they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me.
Jaiden is really right to point out the political hypocrisy of the right. And I think our transphobe in the audience over there has brought to attention something I think it's important children. I think there is nothing lower or more despicable than the people who are responsible for denying 25 million women the right to abortion in the US. To claim that they are protecting women when they attack trans people. There is nothing lower than the Chris Foley government and its supporters, the government that had to ban all discussion of abortion in Queensland Parliament because they couldn't control their own fucked up anti-abortionist MPs and stop them from attacking women's rights. So they had to ban it outright. There's nothing lower than the supporters of those people claiming that they are the defenders of women's rights in this country.